So the court system, the 10th Judicial District, is doing a lot of things differently with Barry Morphew than they do with poor folks. Poor folks who just get the public defender. Poor folks who can't afford not just a lawyer, but a good lawyer from some sort of law firm that can just generate thousands and thousands of case laws and documents. I just typed in Barry Morphew, and you have the Colorado Judicial Branch, the grand jury indictments right there. But if you check this out, people of the state of Colorado versus Barry Morphew, they have a ton of things that's going on. What's this? New location for Conejos County proceedings. What's that about? We'll take a look at that in a second. But today is September 2nd, 1:30 p.m. And the hearing is available by live stream right here. The hearing is available by live stream. It's in Alamosa Courtroom C. So there's supposed to be a status conference at 1:30 p.m. today, September 2nd. Hold on. I want to show this one thing. There's a witness list, but you could go through all these documents. This is incredible. So you get a high dollar attorney, right? They're going to throw a murder charge on you. And of course, Barry Morphew, he gets a grand jury. So they actually did it the right way. They did it the right way with Barry Morphew. So if you do a disgusting, heinous, bloody, violent affair, then you're guaranteed a grand jury indictment. Now, looking through all this, you got order preemptively granting request for expanded media coverage, order limiting pretrial publicity, standing order on decorum, the media plan state versus Morphew. I haven't gone through limited entry of appearance. Who is this? So is this more lawyers? So they got 3 lawyers on their side. Defense motion to require notice and consent prior to any contact. Defense objection to expanded media coverage. Booking sheet. Defense motion. So you get the gist. A whole bunch of stuff. There's just this witness list right here, posted July 16th. And this witness list just goes on and on and on and on. Two interesting things. Macy and Mallory Morphew are part of the witness list. Now, they don't have the addresses for them. I don't know who these people are or what's going on. But just look at this. Is 15 pages long. So how long is this trial going to go on for? How long is this trial going to go on? And are they trying to find out the truth, or are they just trying to muddy all the waters too? And how long is the defense going to get? Is he just going to have, this is a 3-day trial, just strictly 3-day trial, and that's it? And then the closing statement is just going to be 20 minutes, and it's timed, and then the closing statement, they're going to allow objections against the closing statement? Is that how this case is going to run? I just hate the hypocrisy, and I hate the double standards. When it comes to Amanda Hopkins, I think that's the judge's name. Amanda Hopkins said something about, well, the media can, cover this case, but they can't cover any of the other cases. Why can't they cover the other cases? Why don't any of the other cases get live streamed? It's like, well, we got a bunch of poor people we're trying, hey, look, we got a bunch of poor people we're trying to fuck over. And since we're trying to fuck over a bunch of poor people, well, we don't want them to understand that they got a lot more rights than what they think, because we're trying to railroad them. They were kidnapped by a police officer, and since they can't afford a lawyer, we're just going to ram their goddamn lives straight into the damn ditch. No, who gives a shit, okay? So that's what's going on. And so, if they could get a camera into the courtroom, it's amazing that there's some media groups that can get into it, because high profile case, this is generated some media headlines. And it's not because anybody wants to know the truth. I mean, look at all these witnesses that are going to come to either convict him or not convict him. This is a lot of stuff that's going on. And what I've noticed about the media, because they found a dead body just recently in Costilla County. Who was it? Edna Quintana was just found. The remains of Edna Quintana was also found in Costilla County. There was 2 dead bodies that was found right by the church in San Luis. The Stations of the Cross. Right there in the bridge, in the ditch. So, they've never told us who the person was that was killed. 2 bodies that was found in San Luis. They never told us the names of those people. So therefore, they never told us what had happened. They didn't tell us the result of the findings of all this, so-called technological research. These motherfuckers have so much technology on their side, and if they're not rooted in moral clarity, if they're not rooted in transparency and truth and justice, in order to get objective truth, in order to get objective justice, you gotta have objective truth. Justice is just truth in action. If somebody was stolen from $2,000, there's a guy that stole $2,000 in cash from me. So justice would be what? That motherfucker paying up, that motherfucker giving me $2,000 back, or something equivalent. That's justice. Justice is equal and exact. Now, when it comes to these proceedings, that would be quick justice. That would be like night court. You get up, one person says something, the other person says something, you got the prosecution, you got the defense, and then the judge does a bench trial right then and there, makes a ruling. And he makes the right ruling. If it was something quick. I'm just thinking of how justice is with American court systems. If you could get a lawyer that mucks this whole system up, right? So, Barry Morphew kills his wife, right? Barry Morphew kills Susan Morphew. And then he already went to trial one time. So he goes to trial, and then Linda Stanley is going to get kicked out for ethical violations or something. So the case is going to get dismissed without prejudice or with prejudice. I forget. One of those allows for the case to be refiled. The case can be refiled if new information is found. Well, they found the dead body, right? So that's more information. And they found the dead body in the 10th Judicial District. Look at all these names. I don't know. Cassidy, Cordova, Shirley, Morphew, Pueblo. We're getting this guy from Pueblo. And then, ultimately, who knows what? Who knows what? Who saw what? You can put a bunch of stuff together. But the truth, you can get through evidence, and you can get through witnesses, and then a little bit of common sense, using your own mind, use logic. We're rational people, right? People are animals, but we're rational. So since we are rational animals, use your damn head. Chloe Harvey, Pamela Good, Christina Joy Collins. So we definitely have a 2-tiered system in America. If you're just poor, some poor slob that got picked up by the police, maybe the police did their job, maybe they saw a crime in commission. Maybe they're just doing, their gangster buddies a favor and going after good people. It just seems like when it comes to the system, look how much time and effort goes into having to convict a person who murdered a person. What I was trying to say before is, when you add the element of court system and then 2 hours of bullshit or 2 years of bullshit, somebody stole $2,000 from me, but for the next 2 years, if we have to figure out who did what, why did what proof do you have, what proof don't you have, and then after 2 years, either A, you get your verdict, or B, you don't. So where's the equal and exact justice there? Somebody robbed you of $2,000, you went through 2 years of fucking court proceedings, and ended up with nothing. That's the opposite of equal and exact justice. And then on the flip side, all I wanted was my money back, $2,000. So if you get the conviction and the person goes to jail for a year or two, well, that doesn't help me out. You just robbed me of 2 years of my life. I still don't have my $2,000 back. And because you just took all those years away from me, time is money. All the money I could have been making. A lot of people. Look at all this is an incredible 15 pages of witnesses. And then this is, Ann Kelly said she endorsed it, so I don't know what endorsed means, if she's just approved. Okay, I approve of the witnesses that you're calling. So I don't know who would be in the house or who, apparently the two daughters saw her the day before or something, but he was the last person to have seen her. And then there's the boyfriend. They have to call the boyfriend up because you got to hear that he didn't do it. I think there's a lot of evidence that's, against Barry Morphew that's really bad. I think the biggest evidence, there's a lot of really big evidence, but I just, the way he does the interviews, he just doesn't come across as an honest person. He is not credible for being an honest person. So the lawyers probably won't put him on the stand because he'll, be up for cross-examination. I don't think Karen Reed took the stand, right? And so Barry Morphew, the evidence against Barry Morphew is a lot. There's a lot of evidence that's against Barry Morphew. I wonder how there's people that could do like live stream on YouTube as well. I don't know how they do that. I actually clicked on the live stream link and it actually says you can't see any of this. And there was one little thing here where they were saying motion to limit public access to motion to reduce bond. So there's a status conference. Are they just going to show the 2-minute status conference? Meanwhile, the motion to reduce the bond, they're not going to do that. They're not going to show that. Why wouldn't they show that? Because the balls on a fucking lawyer to ask for some shit that they ask for. Susan Morphew was killed, and so therefore justice needs to be done, or the heavens. Or even if the heavens may fall, right? We got to get justice for Susan Morphew. Edna Quintana, well, we're not even going to mess with that. Who cares? So, just a two-tier justice system, right? Edna Quintana is just as important as Susan Morphew. But it's just interesting that we're going to the motion to reduce bond. Hey, you gave us a $3 million bond. That's too much. Can you just do it to $500,000? Because if you could 10% of $500,000, well, now that's $50,000, right? So Barry Morphew probably has $50,000, therefore he can afford a bond that gives him the $500,000 bond. Now he could walk around free as a bird. Now he could walk around free as a bird, going to the courthouse and doing whatever he wants to do. Now, if it seemed like he was innocent, then that's absolutely acceptable. If it was some minor thing, that would be fine too. Be released on your own recognizance. So the evidence against Barry Morphew is incredible. Let's see. Do we want to click on? Yeah, I'll just click on some of these motions, huh? So the evidence against Barry Morphew that I know of, let me just think about it here for a second. His interviews. The interview's just terrible. When he was calling for his wife, honey, I don't know where you're at. If someone has her hostage, I'll pay whatever. I'll give them whatever they want. He doesn't particularly seem like a smart guy. Seems like a handsome guy. Seems like he got into some, something that he made good money. So he is making good money. She was cheating on him. So she's distant. He's distant. Because she's distant. Or maybe they were both. The daughters lied. We didn't see any troubles whatsoever. None. None at all. They didn't have a squabble. Not over, goddamn toast. How about they hadn't been talking to each other for a while? You think that might have been a problem? It's just the lies are so brazen. So the way that he interviewed, there was videotape of him going to another town where he's like dropping off a whole bunch of shit that morning. Like dropping different garbage, like garbage bags all throughout the town. He was just throwing like 15 different garbage bags throughout the town, and somehow the public just had so much, security footage, ring cameras, whatever. I don't know where they got all that footage, but he's just driving all throughout this town that's outside of where he was at. Like 15 different stops, he's just dropping off. He was supposed to go to some work thing. He's there early in the morning, tells the other guy not to show up. The other guy eventually does show up, and then he says, oh, he forgot his tools, so we can't even do anything today. That's all weird. So him dropping all that stuff off, that was, some damning evidence. They were able to, now this is, when you get into the electronics, you got to be careful with what people can say that you can get from the electronics and what you can't. I'm sure you could get this information, but it's got to be reliable and it's got to come from a person that you trust. They were saying that during the day that she disappeared, which, if she was killed by Barry Morphew, they're having an argument all throughout the house. He looks like he's running all over the place. And so that could say anything, maybe you're just a busy person going from here to there to there. Also, how do you know, pinpoint, oh, he was in the bedroom, oh, he just went into the kitchen. Somebody had said that kind of technology, you can't really pinpoint precisely where the person was. So, they could just be messing up and saying, oh, he is right here at this one point, and then a minute later he's all the way over here, and then another minute he did say something about he had to kill some rats. There was a bunch of rats or something that day he needed to go around killing. The best evidence I think is that BAM tranquilizer dart, because how many people have that BAM tranquilizer dart? Apparently there's some, the parks and recreation people, but in terms of private people, there's only one private person that, according to the indictment, has that BAM tranquilizer dart. She had BAM tranquilizer dart in her. And then she's going to get, the bones are found within an hour of the drive. Another weird thing that he said was when the bicycle was thrown off the side of the hill and they found her helmet, right? So they're going to find her helmet and the bicycle like in two different areas. And then when they asked Barry to explain it. He goes, I don't know, maybe a mountain lion? So she's out bike riding, a mountain lion for, animals, wild animals, unless they're starving, typically 99% of the time are going to run away from man. They're going to run away from humans. So to think that somebody's just pedaling on their bicycle, pedal, 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 then a mountain lion just all of a sudden strikes, rips the body up, takes the body to its lair, and then the bike is going to get thrown off to the side of the road, and then the helmet's going to be found, another mile or two down the road, or I think it was like 10 miles down the road or some crazy shit, and then the body is found, 50-minute drive away, so 50 miles away. Are you trying to tell me a puma? Are you trying to tell me that a wolf is going to attack a person, throw the bike off the road, then while they're dragging the body, the helmet stays on the person's body, and then they're going to drag it 50 miles away? No, a wild animal is just going to stay within the area. And they'll find a den, they'll find some secluded area, and then just eat the body right then and there. They also said that the bones were purified or cleansed, oxygenated, I forget exactly what they had said, but that bleached. They said that the bones were bleached by the sun. And then they said that they couldn't find the hands and feet and the head or the hair, so it wasn't all the bones. There was a pile of bones there. There's some other people over there looking for some other bones, and then they came up with these bones. And then how did they find the bones? Did he bury her in a shallow grave? Did he just throw her on top of the thing? Or was it that damn puma? Did that damn puma actually, attack the body and then was able to eat all the hands and the feet and the head or whatever, and then was able to take the body all the way down to a different county? Kept all the bones in one spot? And then that's another thing. Was the bones like folded up? Was it just spread out and then... So they were trying to say that the way it looked like the bones weren't decomposed, right there. It looked like that the bones had been moved once or twice, and then the missing head and the hair and the whatever suggests tampering with evidence. So, the theory of the prosecution looks pretty fucking clear as day. Can you poke a lot of holes in people's stories? Sure. It was somebody else. It wasn't him. He was doing this. He was doing that. Did you even look for another person? Did you even try to look for another person? He's the obvious, suspect because the husband, the last person to have seen her. So a lot of times that annoys me because sometimes some, incompetent people will just say, well, what, your husband's dead? Well, it must be the wife. Case closed. Maybe it wasn't. And then if people are like that, then it's like, damn. somebody could just get, a husband and a wife, and clearly the other person will be implicated in the damn thing. So Edna Quintana, does she have a husband or a wife or a boyfriend or something? And then the two people that were killed in San Luis, and then that body that was found in the Wild Horse Mesa, around the Luvetti, the south part of, around Mesita, Jaroso, Garcia, around that area. So the southern portion of Colorado, a guy just comes up to his property and there's a pile of bones. Costilla County is notorious for a lot of major crimes. There was a serial killer. A serial killer killed like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people or something. Not, 5, 6, 7 years ago. There was that big pervert with the right-wing sovereigns. There's a bunch of arsons. It's notorious for major fucking crimes. This is a small town, 3,500. So that's all the main evidence that I know of against Barry Morphew. Other people have made pretty good, little videos showcasing all those things, so you can check all those things out. And I haven't really heard of any good defense. He maintains his innocence, so I don't know if that's something. And it's, it's just interesting. When you got the money to get a good lawyer, because you could pay a fucking douchebag and then he just drops your whole case and fucks it all up, and he don't give a shit. He got his money. There was that one that guy in Framed, he had said that he told a guy who was innocent to tell the story of him raping this woman to work with the state so he could cut a deal with the state and not get the death penalty. Why? Because the last client that the lawyer had ended up getting the death penalty. I know you're innocent, but I don't want you to get the death penalty, so just admit that you raped her with these other 6, people, and then you'll avoid the death penalty. Is that all we're doing? We're just trying to mitigate the damage? We're just doing damage control? I'm innocent, goddammit. Why don't you fucking fight on my behalf? So that sucks. You paid for the fucking lawyer. And then the lawyer comes in and says, yeah, you just need to go ahead and admit that you did shit that you didn't do so you don't get the death penalty. What? What do you mean? Yeah, just admit that you did it. Okay? Just admit that you did something that you didn't do. And that way you won't get the death. I want a goddamn not guilty verdict, motherfucker. What do you tell me? Admit to shit. That way you can work with the state. That just shows you these lawyers don't give a shit. Let's see. Let's just click on this one. And then we'll click on this one. Then we'll call it a day. Request for expanded media coverage. So, what is this? Michael Morrison from KDVR, KWGN. There's a phone number, then advertisement, the people. So, I can't stand when the media finds a dead body, they don't try to find the information. When there's a shooting, that's not sexy. You got to have some sort of, the husband, a wealthy husband killed a wife. What? That makes it more sexy, right? Because they got the guy essentially, and then will his life be over? Will he be serving, lifetime in prison? But with the 2 bodies, this is just recently. These murders have been happening for, for years. Around Costilla County, in Costilla County, around the valley, in Conejos County. So, if we truly give a damn about the truth and we care about objective justice, then the 3 bodies that were found, we need to find out who the hell they were. People need to talk. The witnesses, did anybody see the person? How did nobody see the person? Somebody saw something. The pictures of how the body was found, people, it's like they want to try to sanitize the shit for us, but I want transparency. Because if you're just sanitizing it, then, it's like you're treating us like we're children. Well, that's just really bad, and we're trying to respect the memory of Suzanne Morphew, so we don't want to take a picture of the bones. No, I want to see the picture of her bones. I want to see the picture of how the 2 bodies had died in San Luis. I want to see the picture of how the body in the Wild Horse Mesa, how they found that body. Was that body by, a neighbor? Was it buried? Was it just a head? Was it just a body? Did it have clothes on? There's just a lot more information that when you give it out to the public, we the public found where Gabby Petito was. The FBI was searching, couldn't find Gabby Petito, and then there was a guy that was just recording his driving when he was just on some, desolate road. He was just recording with the dash camera, and lo and behold, they were inside this van, and they could see Gabby Petito had taken the van door and shut the van door. So that was us. We the people found out where Gabby Petito was. We the people was able to crack the case. So by the public, by the authorities taking all the information and putting it in their pocket and keeping it secret as hell, that just doesn't do anything for anybody, okay? So that's the request right there. Here's an order. Let's see. The defendant's request was somewhat moot with regard to the hearing held on July 1st. However, I will consider his arguments if he raises them again prior to future hearings. All parties, media personnel, and those otherwise concerned are again reminded of the orders previously issued regarding media, public access, and decorum throughout this case. The defendant's request was somewhat moot. Just say moot in all capitals. Write order in all capital. Order, moot, denied. Oh wait, you can't do that to the great Barry Morphew. He's got a lawyer, so we have to pretend this little fucking game that we play actually matters, and that we care about the consequences, and we care about what happens to people. No, he's got a lawyer, so he's part of our club, he's a part of our gang. We're going to treat him with the same respect that we would treat ourselves if we was a defense attorney, pretending that lawyers are good, honest people who care about truth and justice, right? That's what lawyers are there for, to make sure that truth and justice prevail. Lawyers never lie. Lawyers are so goddamn honest. Such good people, lawyers are. I don't know any good lawyers. Most lawyers I know are like corporate lawyers that are there for a fucking dollar, and, you know, truth and justice and peace and love and domestic tranquility, all that be damned. Now, I don't recognize any of these people on the witness list. I was just thinking, God damn, look at them. That list goes on and on and on. That's a witness list. Meanwhile, there was a case where there was a couple warning. There's a guy that was threatening another guy, and then another guy shot a couple warning shots, and that's it. That's the whole story, right? She didn't ask any questions. She didn't get any witness statements. She didn't get any witnesses whatsoever. No media, no live streaming, no, tough questions for any of the people that were involved. The truth did not matter. Once you've already concluded that a person is guilty, then, she says that he's presumed innocent. If he's presumed innocent, why in the fuck are you going and doing all this goddamn stuff? So even the prosecutor, which, seems to be doing a good job on this case here, straight up lied. He's presumed innocent. Yeah, that's a thing that you say. That's a platitude that people say. And in the scheme of things, sure, before, But if you truly presumed him innocent, why in the hell are you spending so much time and money? If he is presumed innocent, why would you... No, you presuming him guilty. You are presuming him guilty. So even the prosecutor, lied. Saying things that she doesn't believe. So the whole damn thing is disgusting. Once someone said it's like a sausage factory. Nobody wants to see how sausage gets made. It comes out in nice little links, right? So the end result is, a nice product. But the process for making sausage is just so gross. And so somebody compared the justice system as like sausage. So there you go, coloradojudicial.gov/node/13869. Just a lot of fucking stuff. You gotta, and then, I guess I never understood America to be, if somebody charges you with a charge, you pretty much have to spend a shit ton of fucking money to, keep your name fucking clean. So if somebody accuses you, whether it's right or wrong, and they're dragging you into court, and especially if a police officer is accusing you or arresting you, you're going to have to put up your entire house. You're going to have to mortgage your fucking house in order to get a decent lawyer, and that fucking guy might fuck up your case. And that sucks. That fucking sucks to, to be the defendant and to completely to be at the mercy of the lawyer. The lawyer's going to take, $100,000. They want to keep on protracting this stuff, file another motion, charge another $1,000. And ultimately, the outcome of the case, I guess these were the same lawyers as before. It would be nice if you got a lawyer like a Karen Reed lawyer. But even if you have a little bit of money, and you're able to, spend a little bit of money, then motherfuckers will fuck up your case. I don't know. I don't know why people like lawyers. I've heard some people say they like them, but I don't.